Wormhusk Quran is usually thought of as a PvP exotic, but today we're taking it into PvE and seeing just how much we can get out of it. This build is focused around solo damage, survivability, ability uptime, and keeping ourselves healed while we're clearing through groups of enemies. And for our heavy weapon, I've gone with the Heir Apparent, giving us a solo exotic machine gun with some serious damage output and an additional defensive layer. So I'm going to break down exactly how this build works, what every aspect, fragment, and exotic perk does, and how to properly activate everything so you can get the most out of this build. Let's get into it. Starting with our exotic, we've got the Wormhusk Crown. The main perk we're building around is Burning Souls. When we activate our class ability, Wormhusk gives us Cure, which immediately restores health. But we're not just dodging whenever our class ability is available. We want to use it strategically after taking damage because that's where the healing is most valuable. The other important part of Burning Souls is our Solar Final Blows. Getting rapid Solar Final Blows builds stacks of Burning Souls up to 3 stacks. These stacks improve our solar ability damage and make our dodge even more effective at keeping us alive. So our basic gameplay loop is get solo kills, build burning souls, take damage, dodge to heal, continue clearing enemies. We're essentially using our weapons to build up our buffs and our abilities to keep us alive. For a heavy weapon, I've chosen Heir Apparent. Heir Apparent is a solar exotic machine gun which fits perfectly into our solar focus setup. Its first major perk is Heavy Slug Thrower. When we aim down sights, the weapon spins up before it can fire. But the really interesting part of it for this build is the Armor of the Colossus. While we're at full health, spinning up Heir Apparent gives us an arc shield. That means we're getting another defensive layer while we're using the weapon, and this fits really nicely with Wormhusk. If we've taken damage, we can use our class ability to heal ourselves. Once we're back at full health, we can spin up Heir Apparent and get that arc shield before continuing with the fire. So we're combining Wormhusk's healing with Heir Apparent's defensive shield to make ourselves much harder to kill while we're using our heavy. Our first aspect is Crack Shot. Crack Shot is all about making our solo weapon kills more effective. Getting solo weapon final blows builds stacks of Crack Shot, and those stacks can improve the effectiveness of our solo weapons. This is particularly useful because we're already trying to get solo kills for Wormhusk, and so we're not having to completely change how we're just playing to activate the aspect. We're simply killing enemies with our solo weapons, and those kills are helping multiple parts of the build at the same time. The important thing here is to keep getting those solo weapon kills instead of letting the effect completely fall off. Next, we've got On Your Mark. This aspect gives us increased weapon handling and reload speed after getting precision final blows. We can also activate it by using our class ability. This is another reason we're constantly getting value from our dodge. We're not just using it for Wormhusk's healing. We're also using our class ability to activate the benefits from On Your Mark. And because this build is heavily focused around using solo weapons to generate our effects, the faster handling and reload speeds help us keep that momentum going. So if you see a group of enemies, don't be afraid to use a dodge when it makes sense. You're potentially getting Wormhusk's healing and On Your Mark benefits from the same ability. First fragment is Ember of Ashes. This increases the number of scorch stacks that we apply to enemies. This is important because Scorch is one of the main ways we're building towards solar ignitions. The more Scorch we're applying, the easier it is to get enemies to reach the point where they ignite. So if you're fighting tougher enemies, don't think of Scorch as just a little bit of extra damage. We're using it to build towards a much bigger solar explosion. Next is Ember of Singeing. When we scorch targets, defeating those scorched targets help us recharge our class ability, and this is huge for Wormhusk. Remember, our dodge is our healing button, so every time we're scorching enemies and killing those scorched targets, we're helping get our dodge back. That means we're creating another loop. Scorch enemies, kill scorched enemies, recharge class ability, dodge, heal with Wormhusk, keep fighting. This is one of the main reasons that this build can feel so consistent in PvE. Next up, we got Ember of Solace. This increases the duration of Radiant and Restoration effect applied to us. Restoration is particularly important for this build because we're already focused on surviving through solar healing. So, whenever we activate Restoration, Solace keeps us the healing effect for longer. So instead of getting our healing and immediately losing it, we're able to maintain the survivability for a longer period of time. And when you're fighting through difficult PvE content, that extra duration can make a huge difference. Next is Ember of Benevolence. This fragment rewards us for applying Restoration, Cure, or Radiant to our allies by giving us increased ability regeneration for a short time. This is especially useful in team-based PvE content. If we're healing and buffing our teammates, we're not just helping them, we're also getting our own ability generation back. And that means more grenades, more melees, and more class ability energy. So if you're playing with a fire team, don't just think about yourself. Helping your teammates can actually help you keep your own ability loop running. Last but not least, we got Ember of Char. This causes solar ignition to spread scorch to nearby targets, and this is where our solar chain starts becoming really effective against groups of enemies. We get an enemy scorch to build up enough scorch to cause an ignition, and then that ignition spreads scorch to nearby enemies. Those enemies can be scorched and potentially ignited themselves. So, against groups, we're basically creating a chain reaction. Scorch, ignition, spread scorch, more ignitions. This is particularly useful when we're surrounded by groups of weaker enemies because one ignition can start the entire chain. Now, let's put everything together. We're going to start by using our solar weapons to get kills. Those kills help us build our solar effects and keep Crackshot working. We're also applying Scorch. When we kill scorched enemies, Ember of Singeing helps regenerate our class ability. Once our dodge is back, we have Wormhusk to heal ourselves. If we're playing with teammates, applying Cure, Restoration, or Radiant to them can activate Ember of Benevolence and improve our ability regeneration even further. Then, when we build enough Scorch on enemies to cause an ignition, Ember of Char spreads that Scorch to nearby targets. So, one enemy exploding can start spreading the solar effect through an entire group. And Ember of Ashes makes our Scorch application much stronger, helping us reach those ignitions faster. Meanwhile, Ember of Solace makes our Restoration and Radiant effects longer. So we're basically creating one big loop. Solar kills, Scorch, ignitions, spread Scorch, class ability regeneration, dodge, Wormhusk healing, and more solar kills. And when we need some serious heavy damage, that's where Hero Parent comes in. Get yourself back to full health, spin up the weapon, activate the Arrow Shield, and start shredding through whatever is in front of you. The biggest thing with this build is that you don't want to waste your abilities. If you're at full health and there's no reason to dodge, don't just throw it away. Save your class ability for when you actually need Wormhusk healing, or when you're using it, it will give you value through on the mark. When you're fighting groups, focus on applying Scorch and causing ignitions. When you're taking damage, use your dodge to recover. And when your heavy is needed, get yourself healthy first, take advantage of Heir Apparent Shield. This builds rewards for you constantly chaining these effects together rather than relying on one single ability. And that's my Solar Wormhusk Crown PvE build. We've got Wormhusk keeping us alive, Crack Shining on your mark improving our weapon gameplay, Scorch and Initiates helping us clear groups of enemies, and our fragments constantly feeding our ability and survivability loop. And then, when we really need to bring out the heavy firepower, we've got Heir Apparent. Now, let's see how this build actually performs in PvE.
Harvester stirs, hungering for the pain of what was lost.
This trinket of yours fascinates me. I would have it for myself.
current of dread. A powerful nightmare has risen near you. Nightmares rise, and the harvester stirs to life, yearning for their pain.